So I came back and looked at the transitions in RGB, which is, I don't know if I talked about it in this class. And assignment 3 is the most accurate way to follow a transition. So there was this big jump here, that I was originally looking for compared to these other transitions, which were more consistent around 16 to 17 units in the R value, and I didn't quite check them all because at this point, I could tell this one was off. But it gave me an idea of what you could have done, maybe to approach this a little differently. With Photoshop, there's so many ways to kind of approach these assignments, which is another reason it's good to go to the Learning Center. I try to give the most basic aspects just because they're the simplest, and once you kind of get that foundation, you can kind of build off of that. But what I was looking at here was, maybe you want to go with these 7-degree, you have 6, 7-degree changes in value, and that would have been an interesting way to kind of approach this. So let's look at this and say, the first one's 6, this next one's 7. So let's go ahead and go with 7. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select my wand. Now I'm getting a lot more than I want. I'm going to do the continuous. I'm going to lower my tolerance to hopefully get a little less. And I'm basically getting what I want at this point. Got my grayscale slider on the window. I'm going to bring up my hue saturation tool. So that inner ring was 13. This first one was 6. We're looking at 7, so we want to make this 20. So we're going to make this a little bit darker. And we want to keep in mind that we're going to go with these units of 7 along the way. So I can't quite get it. I'm going to go ahead and let it go to 8. I'm not going to make a big difference here. So as we pick this next ring out, we'll do the same thing. Remember our last one was at 21. We're going to try to focus on 7. So we're going to go ahead and take this up to 28. And we're going to keep doing this all the way out. This next step will be 35. And this will make an interesting transition of value using your tones. Now it's going to be a little lighter here on the end. So our last one here was 35. We're looking at 42 here. I'm going to make this one a little bit lighter. And that was probably where that big jump was, if we went back and looked at my earlier comments. So the next one will be 49. Now this magic wand isn't picking up a perfect selection, and these are things you could have done prior, but I just want to show how this would work and how this would look in a grayscale. So our next one's going to be 56. And again, as these get much lighter at the outer edges, they're going to really appear gray, and we're going to lose a lot of the hue in them. And there's another number of ways of playing with this. This is the most simple of the methods. So we're looking at 63 for our next one. I'm sorry, I'm kind of going a little slow. Got one hand dragging behind me today. And this last one will be 70. So now that we have that kind of gradation of value, because essentially even though with tones, as we learned, tones can get lighter, darker, or stay consistent. And I think playing with this idea of value can be interesting. So what we can do here to help see this if you're having trouble is we switch this to a grayscale. We deselect, and you can kind of see this smooth transition of value. Now these little kind of spaces here, maybe something needs to be done with, maybe not. But the idea here is seeing this, it kind of gives you that old Bugs Bunny cartoon where they had those radiant rings that kind of changed. And when we talk about depth, this will really talk about creating movement, spatial relationships. But it was just a different way to approach this assignment, and I thought maybe you might be interested in it. Maybe not. Well, we'll see. We can talk about it. Let me know. Thanks.